Hey you, welcome to the Good, the Bad, and the Sequel Q&A video edition. My name's Doug. This week's interview is with a legendary character actor, Peter Jason. Peter, we talked about a new film that he has coming out. It's from Saban Films. It's called Deep in the Forest. It's video on demand, May 31st. So I'll put in the notes below where you can check out that trailer. Looks pretty cool. Not a different role for him, but the story's pretty interesting. So I'll put it, check out the trailer. You see for yourself. Again, May 31st. Man, Peter Jason is a guy that has worked with everyone throughout his career, whether it be early on when he's in Rio Lobo, which is like one of his big early roles that really helped him jumpstart his career. John Wayne, but early on, man, he was a football player. He even said himself he was a jock until a girl, which is a story that I've heard before, said, hey, try out for the play. And he did. And he was hooked. He tried to do any play that he could just to get better and better and better. And it worked out for him. Down the road, he's working with John Carpenter on a ton of films, Steven Spielberg, Walter Hill, and so many more. We even talked about the commercial work he did because I'm in Jersey. He lived in Jersey for a while. He's doing all these commercials and the story he has. Oh my God. So good. I'll give you a little sneak preview. He says that they used to do these test commercials. So they would have an idea for a commercial. They have an actor play the guy that they hope can get. He said he played like Terry Bradshaw like 3 or 4 times in these test commercials that never flew. But we talked to Arachnophobia, Escape from LA, 48 Hours. Man, his role on Deadwood. Oh my gosh. Great interview. You're going to love it. It's unedited. If you like perfect audio, I'll put that in the episode notes so you can check that out too. But the only thing that happens is his manager's calling him, maybe because he wants work, because this guy's always working. Look at his credits. His IMDb is like full with so many epic movies. Really, look at his 80s IMDb. Bruce, every year, Brewster's Millions, 48 Hours, They Live, Prince of Darkness, Mark for Death. Every year he's working on a big movie that I love. So that's what was great about talking with Peter. Do me a favor. I'm going to start in a second. Hit subscribe so you don't miss out any future interviews or sequel reviews. I'm going to shut up. Here is legendary character actor Peter Jason.
Hey, you got it.
I got to say, you don't age, really.
Huh?
You don't age.
Tell that to the inside of my body.
No, well, I know that part. I'm saying on the outside, you still have the same kind of look that you've always had since I've seen you.
Well, that's nice to hear. But I certainly ache after one match of tennis.
Yeah, I bet. I ache and I'm 35 when I chase my 3-year-old around the yard. She tires me out, so I get it. Awesome, Peter. So I talked to Stuart last night, and we talked a little bit about the movie. Deep in the Forest comes out, video on demand.
My little hanky-panky. How's my hanky-panky doing?
Oh, it's so cool that you guys are friends, because when looking at both your IMDb's and just watching movies that you both were in, that I noticed that you both were in, I'm like, wow, do you guys know each other? Like, obviously with Charles, you guys have the same person. He's like, oh yeah, we've been good buddies. We hit it off years ago on Arachnophobia, right?
That was our first movie together, yeah. But we were husband and wife in a movie called Hopelessly in June.
He was saying that. Was that after or before?
Oh, that was after. That was just a few years. Yeah. But we became instant friends on Arachnophobia. We spent the whole time together, spent a lot of time together. Built a whole house for his kid. Did he tell you about that?
He did. He said, you're the carpenter. He said, I helped him. And he goes, I got to take that back. I was his sous chef. I didn't really help. He just told me what to do.
Did he tell you about the door knockers?
No, he didn't.
Hinges?
Oh, the hinges. Yes. You were going to murder him for buying hinges.
$40 for brass hinges. I said, take them back. He took them back. And I went over to some construction site that had a door that were thrown away. I said, can I have those hinges? I took them off the door and we put them on his kid's house.
Oh my God. Was that always something you did growing up? Was your like father, uncle Carpenter?
My dad had these 5 kids, and he just was a great dad, and he taught us how to do everything. And my mom was the same way. She taught us all each how to cook. Each of us had a day. Mine was Tuesday, and where we had to cook all the meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 7 people. And she supervised, of course.
Of course.
We had to do the heavy lifting.
What was your go-to? Tuesday night? What was your 3 courses?
I was great in the pastas. I love the pastas. I loved the stews, all different kinds of stews. We're Irish. So there were a lot of casseroles too. A lot of tuna casserole was a big one. My sister used to make. It was hunt for the tuna. It should have been called celery casserole.
Oh man. So Peter, I love talking to people to figure out, how they got started in this crazy business. So you were born in Hollywood? Is that right?
I was born in Hollywood. I was. My dad was over fighting the Nazis, and my grandmother lived here in Leimert Park, in right out of Hollywood, and so my mom was staying with her when she delivered me. My dad was over in France, and when he came back, we moved down to the beach, and down in Balboa, where I grew up, and it was great. Ocean was my front yard, the bay was my backyard, and I was just a beach rat for the first 18 years of my life. Then I got into senior play, and by accident, I got the lead in this play. And
by accident?
By accident. I was actually after this girl, and she said, "Come on, you got to be in the senior play." And I said, "I don't want to play with actors, and that's kind of, a football player. I don't want to." And she said, "Oh, it's going to be really fun. We can rehearse at night, and I'll be there." And I went, "Oh, you're going to be there every night? Well, let me think about it." And I wandered over to the stage and auditioned, and I got the lead. I think because I had a big, loud voice mostly, and it was kind of a one of those theaters where you needed a big voice. So it was The Man Who Came to Dinner, and I played Sheridan Whiteside. And when I went out for my curtain call, they exploded into applause, and I went, "Ooh, I like this."
Yeah.
I'll be coming back for more, thank you.
Oh, please, man.
May I have some more?
Yes, yeah. So what'd you do right after that? Was it right from there, blinders on?
Blinders, I had straight ahead all the way. I was supposed to be an engineer, and I just started doing every play I could for free. I wanted good parts.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be a spear carrier. I wanted good parts. I worked for repertory companies for nothing, just so I could be in plays. And I went from one to another. I went from there back to Carnegie to learn how to do it, and did summer stock at Peterborough, New Hampshire, and the Millbrook Playhouse in Pennsylvania.
Nice.
And ACT in San Francisco, South Coast Repertory. I was one of the founding members of that group, and just acted all over the place. Ended up that group came up to Hollywood, and we did a play, Red Magic, which kind of got bombed, and they all went back down to Newport, and I stayed. I said, I'll just stay here, and I started working here with Theater West, and then I just started banging out stuff. My first movie was my manager right now. I'm gonna have to
That's fine.
hold that one down. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
I should have turned it off.
No, I can get that out. So you always had, yeah. So did you always have that in the back of your mind? Like when you're traveling all around, the end goal, was it always Hollywood, TV, film?
No.
Okay.
I just loved, if I had my druthers, I would be on stage doing musicals, because I love to sing, and they're the most fun things to do, musicals.
Yeah.
And stage is just the most fun. You're in charge, kind of like every night,
Yeah, and you get that, and And you get that instant gratification. Yeah, you get that gratification. You do a movie. Sometimes you do a movie or a show. It doesn't come on for 6 months, a year. Some people have movies that takes 2 or 3 years, and you never see the audience reaction.
This was 2 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we shot this 2 years ago, I believe.
Oh, wow.
We didn't shoot it during the pandemic, so no one was wearing masks. So I think it was before the pandemic.
Must have been.
And you do it and you forget about what happened.
I'm sure.
People remind you, but I like playing. That's what I do for a living. I've never had a job.
Yeah.
I've always played. My dad was a PE teacher, so he played with all of his kids. All of us were the best athletes in school. We played sports, all the sports, and after school, I started acting, and it was like still playing, just playing with people.
Yeah.
And I do that every day. I play with the grocery clerk or the mailman or the neighbor's kids. It doesn't matter who it is. I want to play. I always want to play. Like that puppy dog, who you turn loose on the first. Wants to play, huh? Anybody? And it's just better than working.
Yeah, man.
And once in a while they pay you for it, which makes it really great.
Yeah. So the first when you first auditioned, did you have a manager? Somebody see you that says, "Hey, try this out," or did you
I did
see like an open call?
I was at the Laguna Playhouse doing a play called A Man for All Seasons, and I was playing King Henry VIII, and Alex Brewis came down to see me. Gavin McLeod came down to see me.
Wow.
Captain Stubby. I'd done a play with Captain Stubby, and he came down to see me in my play, and he told his agent about it. So his agent came down to see me, and came in at intermission, said, "I love what you do. I'm an agent. Here's my card. I have a wife that's pregnant, about to have a baby. I got to go. I know you're not in the second act. Call me." And I did. And I moved in with he and his wife and his new baby. He got me a car, and I started off. And he was, for the first maybe 10 years of my career, he was my agent, and he was great. Alex Brewis.
Get somebody to take you under your wing like that.
Huh?
So you get somebody to take you under your wing like that. That's unbelievable. Somebody looking out for you.
Not just Alex, but a lot of people took me under their wing. You know? It was like one actor after another, that was, and I still hang out with the older actors. I love the older actors. They have the best stories, number one, and number two, they know how to do it. They know the pitfalls. They know everything about it, or they know more than I do anyway. And they would pass it on to me, and I had a lot of them along the way that were just my gurus. Several of them. A lot of them have passed away now, but I still have a couple left.
Yeah.
And I still call on them whenever I need to.
Yeah. And early on, when you just look at your career, obviously, like being in the first movie on there is a TV movie, A Bell for Adano. I don't know if that's your first.
Adano.
That was your first?
It was a Hallmark Hall of Fame. I don't know if it was my first. No, my first job was Red Skelton Show.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he was. He played one of the characters. He played was the little boy with the hat and the sucker, and he's talking like this kid. And he's skipping, got the short pants, and he was on a cruise ship, and he's skipping around the deck. And I'm a honeymoon couple, and he runs into us, and we have 5 jokes, and that was my first job.
Wow.
Then I started doing Gunsmokes. I did 3 Gunsmokes and Cimarron Strip Cowboys. I was playing young cowboys. And then Hallmark came in with the Hallmark Hall of Fame, A Bell for Adano. It was the first time they'd ever used tape and film together. And I was in the film part. I was the exterior shooting. I was a soldier outside. And then when they moved inside, they did it on tape. And the tape was ludicrous. The combination. Shut up. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Very popular today.
You are.
It's rush hour. Yeah, my wife just told me, turn that thing off. I will. I'm turning it off now, dear. I am. I'm trying. I don't know how these things work.
You got to listen because next comes the shoe or.
Oh, anyway, where were we before we were so?
Oh no, you were just
So
talking about like gun smokes and all your no, because I think it's so fascinating. Because I talked with I don't even know, she had a small part in it. Sandra Curry. One of her first movies is Rio Lobo, and looking at your website and that photo with you and the Duke. I don't know. She had like
who did she play?
I feel like she played like young prostitute or young hooker
One of the
or
hookers. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
She had a very
I
small
didn't
role.
work with her. I worked down in Mexico and then a little bit in old Tucson. They built a whole town in old Tucson. It burned down, but now they have the new Tucson, I guess. But yeah, that was my first movie.
Yeah.
I died in John Wayne's arms. It was directed by Howard Hawks. It was quite something. He was great. You know, I never saw a script, by the way.
Really?
No, he just told me. I had the first line in the movie. I had the first scene in the movie when they're loading the gold on the train, and he said, Peter, now you got to load the gold on. Have your men carry we got to let them know there's gold in there. Have one of them trip, and you say, "Private, pick up your feet," and he'll say, "It sure is heavy, sir." And you say, "Gold usually is." Then they'll know there's gold in there. Then you keep looking around, make sure no one's watching it, and get them over to the train. You open that door up, get them all up into the train car. You jump up last and look around before, and then close that door. Well, you know exactly what to do, and he leaves it open to you to do it any way you want. So
yeah,
great. I don't even have to remember lines or anything. I know exactly what to do, and that's the way he worked. And
I never knew that.
He got that improvisational way of working. He told me from working with on the John Wayne movie. About the roundup and the horses. Montgomery Clift. Red River, and Monty Clift was very improvisational. In fact, he told him in a fight scene, he says, "It's unbelievable that I could beat up the Duke. He's twice my size." He said, "What if he's leaning over the fire and I kick him in the face to start the fight?" He said, "Maybe I'd have a chance." And Howard said, "Well, let's Mr. Hawk said, let's ask the Duke," and he did, and that's the way they did it, I guess. But he started working improvisationally after that. And before that, he had a full script, and he worked right by the script, and nothing changed and everything. But he liked that improvisational spirit. I understand from him anyway that changed his way of making films. I'm glad he did. I loved working like that. That was really fun.
That's got to be something, being so young, not young, like because you were doing it for a few years already, and being on Gunsmoke. I knew nothing. So you were young, yeah. To have the Duke. This isn't like anybody else. Go there on the spot. You having no script. That's unbelievable.
Never saw a script. But when you're young, you're fearless. You don't have any history. You don't know when you're making the mistakes, which you are making. So you just dive into that water. Who knew it was freezing cold? You just dive in. And once you're in it, you realize, oh, wait a minute, I can't breathe. And then you try to get out. But,
so you were obviously busy working. Like from there on out, you're working a lot. Was there, what was a point in your career? Was there like a movie you were in or a show you were in that really changed it all for you?
Well, I'm one of those actors that that I never rocketed to stardom, if that's what you mean.
Just getting steady work. Steady. Yeah.
There was a change. I stopped drinking about 40 years ago, and that helped me get parts. That helped me remember my lines. That helped me show up on time. That helped them trust me. And it's a simple job being an actor. All you have to do is show up on time and know your lines. Two things. That's all. Show up on time and know your lines. You don't even have to be good, as you can see by a lot of movies. But you do have to do those two things. Yeah. And I could do that.
You can. So 40 years ago, that's like where everything really takes off when you look at your like career, because there you do Nice Dreams, and
Yeah.
each year, 48 Hours the next year, I know like a small part, but a memorable like scene in the movie
Which one?
in 48 Hours.
48 Hours. That was a good one for me. That's Walter Hill, and I've done about 13 movies for Walter Hill, and he's very loyal. He creates a family. That's the theme of my success in the business, if I have one. Is I help the family unit. I help bring the family together, and Walter and John Carpenter and Frank Marshall.
Yeah.
These guys know how to create a family, and Mitch Rouse in the later years from the Second City in Chicago. I've done a few things with Mitch. Those guys create a family, and you're either part of the family and you're saying, "Look at us," or you're an egomaniac and you're saying, "Look at me."
Yeah.
So it's like it's pretty easy to spot them, and the people I find that come from the theater, come from the stage, have a lot easier. They can make that, help create that family a lot easier than people who just walked off the street and got a series. There's a history behind it. There's a respect for each other, for all the workers, everybody that works on the thing, the cast and crew, all of them. And once you get that, understand and get the respect for all players, all members of the family,
Yeah.
then things are way easier. It's when the ego takes over, and in my opinion anyway, the ego takes over, and you think you can do stuff that you can't. That people get shot and killed.
Yeah.
You try to cut corners, and accidents happen.
Yeah.
On a Frank Marshall set, the sun starts going down. He says, "Hey, the sun's going down. See you tomorrow." Instead of racing around to try to get that last shot in, and then you wreck everything, and you got to come back 3 days later and do it again at twice the cost. So the good ones know how to do it properly. They know how to create the family, and they know who to count on. I think I've been hired a lot by the same guys because they know that I will show up on time. I will know my lines. I will help the process. I won't slow down the process. I won't ask for too much money, although I want a little more. Everybody wants a little more, don't they?
Yeah.
But that's money has nothing to do with how much fun you can have on the thing.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I've never heard anybody whenever I talk about this, but I think the theater background's huge, because you got to think in theater, you're working 6 to 8 weeks, like in rehearsals before you even like in front of an audience, right?
I can't shave a performance. If I'm getting $1,000 a minute or free, either way, I'm not going to cut down my performance level. I'm still going to do the best I can. I don't care what they're paying me. So really, money really has nothing to do with it, except it makes it a lot more fun when you get it.
Yeah. Amazing. And then, like I said, from there, I think, like you said, 40 years ago, you stopped drinking. That's like the turning point, because all these movies like Streets of Fire, which is like a cult classic, Brewster's Millions, it's like each year in your career, you're in movies that I probably have on all these VHSs that I collect. Just every year you're in one of those.
Good. I'm glad you're buying them.
I get them from the local Goodwill. I just line the walls of this little, this used to be where the lawnmower was in this house that we bought, like this old Victorian. I'm in Jersey, and still the gasoline smells almost gone. So, almost.
Oh, God.
No, but I think that's
Where
so cool. Like, in Jersey? Whereabouts in Jersey?
Oh, you're in Jersey.
Yeah. I'm in West Jersey. I grew up in Central, but no matter what, if you're Central or above, you're like 40 minutes to the city, but it's a lot cheaper where I'm at now. But nice out here.
Yeah, we used to shoot a lot of commercials out in where was it? Was it Patterson? It's
That
outside
sounds
of
right.
New York.
Secaucus is one. Patterson.
We used to shoot a lot of commercials out there. I lived there from '69 to '77.
Oh, really?
I made 300 commercials in 7 years in New York.
What commercials did you do?
Oh, you name it, I did it. I did, in those days we would do. They do what they call tests. You know, they would do, and I played. Who's the quarterback for Pittsburgh?
Terry Bradshaw.
Terry Bradshaw. I played Terry Bradshaw about at least 3 times. They were you know, they do a test commercial to see if they liked it, but they couldn't afford Terry Bradshaw, so they'd hire me and I'd be Terry Bradshaw. I played him 3 times during his career, but they were like demo commercials, you know, but still had to pay you. And
yeah,
so I did a lot of those. Oh gosh, I did everything. I did J.C. Penney. I did. God, I can't remember them all. I did. My favorite was I played Tarzan and one for Salada Tea. swinging from the head. I'm with a chimpanzee and a snake crawling up the big boa constrictor crawling up the branch, and a macaw, big green turquoise and gold macaw on my shoulder, and I say, after a morning of coffee drinking, Tarzan need coffee break. He switched to Salada tea. And then the bird flies, the snake goes away. Though I drop the monkey, I swing over. The stuntman swings over this pond where that alligator's snapping at me. That was the stunt. That poor chicken that they held out in front of their home. You couldn't do it today. But the chicken walked away and fell over. It was like, oh my God. And I land up in the treehouse where Jane is there, and she's putting a smoking jacket on it made out of pieces of fur, you know. And after a tough day in the jungle, whatever, Tarzan needs coffee break. He switched to Salada tea. Salada's blend of teas, bursting with bright flavor because it's a jungle out there.
That's amazing.
It was one of my favorite ones. We shot that in Florida, I think, or Georgia.
Wow. Was that when the commercial business was like good, like money wise? Like, did I talk to people that good money?
It was great.
It was, right?
My wife and I go down. My wife and I take a vacation every other month. We go down to Puerto Rico for a few weeks and come back to a mailbox full of money. It was really good. Then it all changed. It all changed. We started shooting it out here, so I'd go back and forth between New York and here, and eventually it was almost all out here, so I just came back here.
That's good that is so ingrained in your memory. U.S. Tarzan. I love to see that. I love to find that somewhere.
One of my favorite ones too was for Rockwell. I was dressed up in this kind of a Superman outfit, only with Sawman, and he has this blade across his chest, and I jumped off of a ladder into the frame, you know, boom, Sawman cuts through steel, cuts through bricks, cuts through rocks, plug it in, and you're Sawman, and jump out of frame. Oh my God, that was the biggest one I did though was and I made the most money on was one for right guard. Oh. I was the first guy to show his nipples on TV.
What?
And I got an award from the women's penitentiary in Indiana. I was one of their men of the year. And there's a guy with no shirt on, and the girls got excited in jail. But it was right guard, and I had to go. And I had 2 sensor patches on my armpits. I go, nobody likes looking under arm stains. A real problem. Using any persimmon still get stains. Stains that won't wash out. But now we got, and it ran for like 2 years. And
Jesus,
I made a lot of money on that one.
That's awesome. That's so great. That's cool that you did it for so long. That was like that's huge. To have an
Yeah, that
8-year
was.
block of you able to do that?
Say what?
8 years you said you were here. Like doing that. That's
Yeah,
huge.
69 to 77, 8 years, right?
How'd you like Jersey?
How did I Jersey?
How'd you like Jersey? Like living
Well,
here?
I South Orange.
Oh,
You know where
nice.
South Orange is? I dated a girl
Yeah.
from South Orange. She went to my college. I went to Carnegie. Uh, and you know where Lovelette is?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Well, I one time walked 5 miles, I think 4 miles on the beach to see Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy's house, which was in Lovelette.
Nice.
I had friends who used to say, "We're going down the ocean. Hey, you want to go down the ocean? Hey, let's go down the ocean. What's down the ocean? Well, that's where we're going. We're going down the ocean." So I'd go down there, and the beaches were great. They reminded me of where I grew up at the beach here, so I loved going down there.
Oh
And
man.
Lovelette was pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, no, that's so cool. That's
Is it
great.
still, is it still a hot spot?
Yeah, the whole man, it's so expensive now. My buddy's parents bought a place in Lavalette years ago, and it was like so small, like a bungalow. It is like it's insane.
Huge.
The market down here, even where you grew up, is like so expensive. You grew up where you're at is like super expensive now too. Did anybody keep that family house in your family for a while or no?
In fact,
No.
it was on the ocean front. There's a big 7-bedroom house built by Yasha Heifetz, and it was turned into 3 houses. That property was 3 houses. Yeah. If we'd have kept that, I wouldn't have to act.
You wouldn't have to act. So you were talking about like your relationship. So like they live. That was the first time you worked with Carpenter, and then that
No,
strung
I
out
worked
for a
with
while.
him. The first job I did with John was a movie called Prince of Darkness
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay.
with Donald Pleasance, and man, he was fantastic. I loved him. That was the first. That was my first one with him. They Live might have been the second. I'm
Yeah, I think
not
it's set
sure.
next year. But yeah, that's cool. Donald Pleasance, another guy of like the yesteryear of acting to be able to work with. You know.
Oh, it was. I worked with the greatest. I've had such a lucky career to all the people that I've been able to work with, from men and women.
Garner, you worked
John
with
Wayne.
James Garner, right?
I did. But
Yeah.
mostly, I did toward the end of his career. He had a hard time walking. His feet. I think he might have gotten wounded or hurt in the war or something, and he couldn't walk very well. I remember he kept taking the cowboy boots off all the time. And a funny thing about that one, it was Bruce Willis's second movie, I think. And so he figured he knew everything. And I had a scene with Mariel Hemingway who talked like this. She had this voice that was so loud it could cut through steel. And she turns to me and she says, and I own this airport, this little tiny airport, and they need the plane to fly away. James Garner and Bruce Willis. And so I'm supposed to say to her, she says to me, "Isn't it dangerous flying at night?" And I go, "No, bats do it all the time." And she gives me this look of, but that was, what's his name directed that? Pink Panther director. What's his name?
That was Johnny Handsome, right?
No, the Pink
Oh
Panther
no, that was
director.
Mickey Rourke.
Pink
Trying to think of the
Panther.
name of the movie.
The Pink Panther.
Oh no, I was talking about the one with Bruce Willis to pull up the IMDb.
Sunset. That was Sunset,
Oh, okay. I had that
called
on here.
Sunset. But
So-
the director, Blake Edwards, was the director.
Oh, okay.
And he was great. I mean, he did all the Pink Panthers, and just fantastic with Alec Guinness and everything. Great director. And so I was happy to work with him. Of course, John and Walter Hill was, the greatest. I worked with him on 48 Hours.
Yeah.
Before that, on a movie called, gosh, what was the name of it? I should have my thing here so I could read them. But where and everybody had a name. It was called The Driver. That's what it's called, The Driver, with Ryan O'Neal and Bruce Dern and Isabella Adjani.
Oh, nice.
Passenger number 2. I played on that. That was my first movie with Walter, and then he hired me for 48 Hours and Brewster's Millions. What the hell was the name of that movie? Red Heat, Johnny Handsome.
Oh yeah.
All those are Walter's movies. And then he also hired me to do Deadwood. So he did the pilot of Deadwood, and that's how I got into that company. I came in through the side door with Walter. I didn't know Milch, and in fact, my character's name in the pilot was not a Constable. It was somebody else. And I don't know what happened to that kid, but when the pilot got sold, Milch said, "You're Constable." So I went, "I am."
Wow, man, that's awesome. So he brings you in for the pilot, and then look at that, you're on there for
I did 33 out of the 36 episodes.
Wow.
So and it was just a joy. That was that's another family that was created.
Yeah.
David Milch created a beautiful family, and Walter, Walter's so great with westerns and blood and guts kind of thing. And Deadwood is like, it's a western, but you only see a horse every 2 or 3 episodes. You're mostly in saloons with whores and con men,
And just think of the relationships you make. You show up, you do your lines, and it pays off all those years later. He thinks of you when working on the pilot for Deadwood.
Well, I did a lot of them for him in between that too.
No, I know that, but I'm saying like, from that each one, because like you said, to be part of a family, if you showed up and had that ego one time, you're out. And then that's what I think that's so cool about Hollywood, the relationships and the impact you had. Like Stuart told me he didn't get one job, but because the guy liked him in the audition, the casting director, he like called him like 7 years later or something. And that's like, to me, that's what it's all about. It's building those relationships and like leaving an impression.
That happens also in the casting room. You go into a casting office and you're not right for this part, but your agent sent you in because the casting director needs to show the director 10 guys that are good. Yeah. So they send me in, right? And I read it and I go, I'm not Jewish, I'm not going to get this. But who would be great? Stuart Pankin. And so I'll say that to the casting director, and she'll go, "What a great idea! Why didn't I think of that?" And later down the line, she'll remember that I did something that you hope, but
yeah.
And it does work that way. It does. It does. I think anyway. The karma works that way.
Totally.
And so I continue to do that. I know the Long Riders was a joy to do that movie with all the brothers, the Keaches, the Carradines, the Quaids, and the Guests, all brothers playing brothers. And we did the play in New York 10 years before that. It was called Jesse James, a musical. It's up on the wall there. I don't think you can, wait, let's see if I can see it. Do this here without breaking everything.
Where was that, out in LA, or did you do that in Broadway?
Can you see it up there?
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
We did that off Broadway downtown in a little theater called the is a bank. It was a converted bank, and it was called I forget. Oh, wait a minute.
It's on there.
It should be on there.
It should be, right? So people know where to go.
The Bowery Theater.
Oh, okay. I've heard of that.
Bowery Theater. Bowery Lane. The Bowery Lane Theater. And we did that for a 2 week run down there. And Tom Clancy of the Clancy brothers played my father. Perry King played my brother, and it had James Keach, Max Gale from Taxi.
Nice.
He played Frank James, and we did it for 2 weeks there, and then 10 years it took for them to get that thing made into a movie. And they tried to do it with the Bridges brothers. They tried to do it with the Bottoms brothers. They tried to do all the different machinations of brothers that they had out in Hollywood. It took them 10 years before they finally got the movie together, and Walter Hill took charge, and we did that movie. It was a great.
Is that what? That's the first time you like met the Keaches? Like doing that? Oh, okay.
Well, the first time I met them was on Jesse James the Musical.
Oh, okay.
At the Bowery Lane Theater. That's when Stacy and I became great friends, and we over a ping pong table. We had a war.
Really?
Yeah, we didn't. It was a cast party, and Judy Collins was producing with Stacy, and they were dating at the time. And there was a ping pong table there. People were playing it, and I saw them playing. These people didn't know how to play. So I finally waited. I got my turn, and Stacy saw me playing, and he came over, and he and I started playing. He'd win, I'd win. He'd win, I'd win. We didn't let anyone on the table the rest of the night. We just had this war going on, and it's continued 50 years later. And then it went to tennis. Now it's golf, but he's been my best friend for 50 years, and we've done a lot of things together. We did 26 episodes of Mike Hammer together,
which is awesome that you get to work with your friend, like even Stuart, like all the times you worked with him. That's what's great about you and your relationships, because you worked with all these people like throughout after you became buddies with them.
Yeah, well, you want to have fun. It's called a play.
Yeah, playing. Yeah. So real quick, I gotta ask you about Arachnophobia, where you met Stuart. Like, that movie is so good. And you think about it, it's a movie with these tiny spiders. And really, until like the end sequence, it's not like you see the spiders, like when it crawls into your football player's helmet. It's not like you see it bite him. You're just imagining it. But the way that movie like puts this fear into you when you're watching it is so good.
When those 5 or 6 spiders come out of the sink, oh my God, you watch them all go, wow, and you go, holy shit. And Frank Marshall, who is just the greatest. He and I grew up together, and that was his first time directing a movie. And,
oh my God.
Although he directed second unit for almost all of Spielberg's movies. He started off with Bogdanovich. He was his coffee boy, and then he became his assistant, and then he became his AD, and then he was loaned to Orson Welles when we did The Other Side of the Wind, and Frank brought me in on that picture. And then he went to Walter on The Warriors, did The Warriors for Walter, and Frank introduced me to Walter on The Driver I met him down at the train station downtown LA, and started my relationship with Walter. And then Frank, he put me in several movies after that. I was in the Raiders of the Lost Ark. He called me up and he said, what are you doing this weekend? I said, nothing. He said, good. You want to be in a movie? I said, sure. And so I went down to Long Beach. The movie was over. They already shot it, but they didn't do the submarine sequence. And because they couldn't get a submarine, and a vintage World War II sub. Finally, they got one down in Long Beach. It was moored out in the bay, and we were boated, driven out to the boat and climbed on this sub. And I was playing. You remember the Nazi with the burn on his hand?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the movie's over. All the actors were released. He went back to London, so I played him. They dressed me up like him. They patted me up a little. They gave me a handkerchief. I was always coughing in a handkerchief, so they wouldn't recognize my face. And all the stuff on the submarine is me.
Oh my God.
And we did that for 2 days. I remember, and those submarines are so tight and so hard that everywhere you move, you bump your elbow and your shoulder. And It's like if you're big, it's very difficult to move around there. Imagine with a camera and a crew. So it's like boom, 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 boom. And can you do that scene without getting hit so much on the wall? I don't think I can. Boom, 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 boom. And but I remember being on deck waiting for the shot to be lit, and so we're moored out there, and there's this chain going down to this anchor down below, and on both ends of the sub, and there's a big buoy on one end, and there's a bunch of muscles growing on the rope and on the chain, and I'm looking at those muscles, and I'm thinking, wow. And I always carried in my wallet a hook and some line, right? Not long, not much, maybe that long, and some line. And I put the hook on the line, and I got some string from the prop guy. I tied it on the line, and I got a Coke can, and went like that, and climbed down, shinnied down the chain, pulled a handful of muscles off, brought them back up, opened those up, and put some muscle on the right through the heart of the muscle, put it on the hook, dropped it down in there, bang, pulled up a little smelt or whatever the heck I was catching. Well, perch. I think they were perch, about this big. And I started clinging on. I could catch dinner, and I'm popping up a few perch, and I got 6 or 8 perch sitting next to me here, right? Spielberg comes over and he sees me, and how you doing? Oh, I think I got dinner. And he goes, oh, yeah, okay. And he calls somebody over, an AD or a second AD or something. And the next thing, a speedboat takes off. Then about an hour later, it comes back with fishing poles and lines and tackles and live bait and frozen bait and everything else. And he comes up, they hook him all up, set him all up down the submarine a little bit. And he's nothing, He casts out, 4, 5, 6 times. He comes over and says, what are you using for bait? And I tell him, well, the fish live around here. I think they eat off what's here, and I think they eat the muscle here. So I shinnied down and got some. You want some muscle? He said, yeah. And so I open up a couple of muscles and let him and put him on a can with a wire, and have him do the tin can roll instead of all this $1 million equipment. And he bang, he pulls, whoa, you got, hey, they take a picture of him, and here the two of us pulling these little perch up out of the thing. I don't know if he ate his. I ate mine.
Oh my God, that's amazing. That's so cool. Man, what an experience.
Yeah. Well, I worked for him several times, and that was the first time I worked for him. I don't even think he knew my name at the time. I don't think he knew my name until Arachnophobia, maybe.
Yeah.
And Seabiscuit. And then I did his first TV show is a thing called Amazing Stories. And it was Kevin Costner's first job as a lead.
Oh wow!
He played the corpse in The Big Chill, but he's a corpse.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody knew who he was. Yeah. But his first really talking role, I think, lead role was the captain of this plane in Amazing Stories called the episode was called. Gosh, I forget the name of it, but it's about a big bomber that's going to come in and land, but it's got no wheels. And so it's going to crash and they're going to die. And I'm the commander up in the tower saying, good luck, gentlemen, and I'm doing a poem that Spielberg told me to read. Now I lay me down to sleep, and that John Wayne did on some movie, High and the Mighty or something. And and the car and the machine gunner and the turret in the back of the plane is a cartoonist. So he draws some Donald Duck rubber tires on the plane, and it comes in and lands miraculously by magic and it's sitting on the ground for 2 seconds, and they disappear, and boom, the thing falls down on the ground. They're gone. So it's like a God shot or something, you know. But that was another time I worked for Spielberg. Another one was on Seabiscuit. That was he and I had a moment on that too. But he's something else, Spielberg, man. I saw him playing with the kids on Arachnophobia. It was like 5 kids playing together. I mean, they're off on the side. I'm over looking at him, and he's standing there kind of kicking his shoe, and the kids are kind of standing there kicking their shoe. It looked like 5 kids at the playground there talking about, well, how many marbles you got? You know, I got 9 marbles. How many marbles you got? I got 14 marbles. Oh, you want to set up a gallery and we'll shoot marbles? And he was so comfortable with these 4 kids that you went, no wonder his movies are so great. You know, he's got that childlike thing in him that makes his movies just so watchable.
Yeah. He's just playing. He's like you. He's playing.
I like to play.
Yeah.
That's what I like to do, and it's great when you run into other people who like to play.
Yeah, exactly. So this has been great. Just one more movie I have to ask about, and then I just have one question for you. So Mark for Death. That was the second time that you worked with like Keith David. I interviewed one of the writers on that movie. I interviewed Michael Grace. He wrote Mark for Death, but I'm a huge Seagal fan. And that movie, I think, is so over the top and crazy. What was it like working with Seagal? And no? Is that the answer? Yeah.
I'll be positive. He had these cronies there that were real CIA guys. I played the head of the CIA in that or something like that, right?
Yeah.
His boss. And he had real CIA guys there, 3 of them that I got to meet, and that was pretty cool. And the next time I worked for him was in a movie called Glimmerman.
Oh yeah, that was like a few years after that.
Yeah, and I remember I went in for that audition, and there was a room full of people, just a room full of people, and I was like number 10 or 11 on the to go into the meeting, and we're all sitting there waiting. Finally, he comes walking in through the door, and he walks in, he looks at the room, he points at me, he goes, "You come on," and. Okay, I got up and I walked into the room. He says, "Hi, how you doing?" And I said, "Great." He said, "So you're here for what part now?" I said, "For the bladder." He said, "Oh, great, you got it. Go ahead, you can leave." And I said, "Okay." I felt terrible.
Yeah,
but sorry guys, go in front of you, But he did say, "Come on in." But it's
oh man. That's great. I always like to ask people, so throughout your career, did you ever keep any mementos from set? Like scripts or a jacket you wore or a prop or anything?
Well, in the old days when they had money, they would give you something. Everybody would get a jacket or those satin jackets. I had a bunch of satin jackets. I always gave them away to family members. Village of the Damned was a cool one. Prince of Darkness was a great one. It was black and purple, and I was wearing it at a tennis match over here, and Chip Hooper, who was African-American tennis player, great tennis player, big huge serve. He had like the number 1 serve in America for a while. I'm over watching that and in the Players Lounge having a bite, and he comes up and goes, "Prince of Darkness?" He said, gosh, I forget his name now. Who's the famous jazz trumpet player? Oh gosh. Oh, I wish I could remember his name now. I can't. Is that, I can play it. Anyway, he and I said,
Miles Davis.
I said, "This is Prince of Darkness, the movie." He said, "Oh, Miles Davis. Thank you very much."
No problem.
Is that Miles Davis? And I said, "I wish. No, it's Prince of Darkness. It's a movie we did." He said, "Oh, I'm Miles Davis, huge Miles Davis." I said, "Really?" And I took it off and I gave him the jacket.
Whoa.
Obviously he was more, except it said Pete on it though. I didn't mind. He didn't mind that at all. He went and put it on. Yeah.
Oh man. Was there anything else you ever kept, like your first script? Like, did you have the wherewithal like then to keep any of that stuff?
I was never smart enough to keep that stuff.
I bet.
Stuff appears, like I got a poster over there from a David Carradine play that I did on off Broadway, and this one here from New York that we did with the Keach brothers. People happen to give me stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, people give me stuff that were mementos for different things. I got one sent from me from a play I did in college, but was that 5 minutes?
No, it's 7:05.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, we're almost done.
Yeah, and it was a play that I did in they sent me the program, and I thought that was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
But also, there's stuff on eBay that people tell me about. Hey, I saw your hat from the Warriors. Not in the Warriors. Oh, well, it's got your name on it. I got a hat from Streets of Fire. It was really cool. It was leather.
That's awesome.
Everybody got those hats. And my wife and I and my brother and his wife were going down the river, Selway River up in Idaho, river rafting, and we hit this current, this rapids, and I went in the drink and I lost the hat. I saw it floating down. I never saw that hat again, ever again. It was a pretty cool hat. Somebody in Idaho has probably got it now.
Somebody's got it. It's on eBay already, probably.
It's on eBay. It's a little wet.
It's a little wet.
It'll dry out. It'll shrink up on you. $11. You can buy it now.
Buy it now, yeah. Peter, this has been awesome, man. I love talking, and I love finding out how people start it, and it's so cool that you were sort of like coerced by a girl to do something, and it turned into your forever,
Jeannie Brubaker, thank you very much. Give her a call. Shout out there to Jeannie.
Yeah.
That was at Newport Harbor High School in 1961. Now you know how old I am.
Peter, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I hope everything goes well. Deep in the Forest. It looks pretty good, man.
Forest. It comes out the 31st, I understand.
Yep.
And I hope I'm still in it.
You are.
Did you see it?
No, I watched the trailer. I hope you're still in it.
Oh, me too. Don't get scared. See you in the movies.
See you, man. Appreciate it.